The internet is back at McGolf. Let's have ourselves a little fun on a podcast. Welcome back to the McGolf Shop and What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Why is it What's in My Drawers? Because old club makers are tremendous pack rats. And we started off by talking about what was in the drawers of my shop. And it was a lot of fun. And it ended up being a worldwide golf discussion on equipment and fittings. And, well, if it's equipment, we'll talk about it. Okay. So last week, on my way home, I'm on my way home, and Robin sends me a text and says, the internet is out. All right. Well, it was 1 o'clock-ish. And I thought, well, certainly, the way things are anymore, they send out a crew, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and it's fixed for the most part. So we started talking to the provider. They said, oh yeah, 3 o'clock, no problem, 3 o'clock. Well, 3 o'clock came and went, still no service. 3 o'clock became, we don't know when. And I'm like, well, what are we going to do here? And, we could have ran it via regular, what would it called when you don't have it, but the cell phone by cellular service. And the service would have been just horrendous, and it wouldn't have been very good. Although I will give some props over to Charles and a handful of the guys. We were keeping, and Joe, and keeping the conversation alive. We were talking back and forth in the comments, so that was kind of cool. I'm glad to see that we've got some folks in there that are just part of the McGolf clan, right? So it's back. It's bigger. It's back with a vengeance. We are ready to rock and roll. So to get things started, we'll get all this stuff out of the way. Number one, like and subscribe, right? Like and subscribe if you would. That way, this reaches out to more people. We get to touch more people. Secondly, still have a few more aprons left, right? This is a bit extra large or apron, made in the USA, made by products from the USA, and that is embroidered, not a silkscreen. All right. Another thing that's been surprisingly popular, and guys, thank you so very much, has been the hat. Right. We've got the hat. It's a New Era 3930, and it's a fitted hat, and they come in the extra large. Matt can attest, it fit him. And like me, we have very large craniums, and it worked out well. And then I have the medium large, right? And those work out pretty good too. And let's see, we're going to just keep rolling here. Towels, right? Towels. These are tour towels. Now, when I say tour towels, I'm not kidding. That's the stuff that they use on the tour. And it has the slot in the middle, so you hang it over a golf club. And that way you don't have, there's clips that snag your back or anything like that. And what I really like about this is that microfiber is actually kind of coarse. So it does clean golf clubs, and it cleans golf balls, which they give you a little freebie right here for that stuff. And what we do is we'll wet half of it, and it'll dry out by the time the round's done. But it's good to keep things wet. Last but not least, and one of my most favorites is the divot repair tool from McGolf. Right? It's a switchblade from Pitch Fix. Right? You hit that, and there you go. And the other part has the removable divot tool or a ball marker, and the reason why I bought them is the pencil sharpener in the end. So there we go. So we got all that taken care of. Now we can talk like we know each other. All righty. Last week, what did we do last week? Well, somebody already mentioned it. I got a big old monster brisket taken care of, and I must say, I turned it into some burnt ends, a portion of it, about that much of it, turned it into burnt ends. And the local Kroger, which is a local grocery store here, it's a chain store, had its own. They have their own products, and in their own products, they have barbecue sauce. And in the barbecue sauce area, they had a thing called charred-in barbecue sauce. I thought, well, certainly that's got to work. Turned out pretty good. Everybody had them, enjoyed them, so that was pretty good. Mrs. McGolf had the last bit of it for her dinner today, so it worked out pretty good. It cooked up well. All righty. Another picture of how I mistreat my animals. She thought that was pretty funny, and then she had to give me the pose. Right, just had to make sure. All righty. So on to more serious topics. We did have a lot go out today. I did a lot, or this week. Look at here. Till I've been mowing. Went mowing out in the back 40, and man, oh man, they got those briars and those bushes and stuff, and they just catch you everywhere. Did a lot of repairs, and we're into that season here in Southern Ohio. It's the beginning of high school golf season, and that normally I get about 2 or 3 broken clubs a week, and we did a lot of that, and I had to turn them around really, really fast because of tournaments and playing and practicing. So we try not to hold on to them, specifically if I've got shafts to go in there. So I did a lot of turnaround stuff. As far as building clubs, we sent out a set. If you guys go to the Instagram page down here, if you look down here below the Instagram, right about, and it's coming along, right about there. And then if you look at it, right about there is what we're under the tagline. Anyway, I do reels. I kind of like reels in that it's a 15-second, 30-second video of the golf clubs that we made, and I've recently discovered sound, so I get to attach real songs to them. So it's kind of fun to pick certain songs to go with certain clubs, and so take a look at those. But one that I did want to show you guys is a young man that comes in here. Extraordinarily polite, very, very tall, very, very lanky and strong. Got himself a new launcher turbo. And it had I'm going to say the name wrong because I always do, but it's Mizuyaki. I know I'm close, but I don't think that's correct. But anyway, he had a Mizuyaki. It was a 50 gram, which, if you know Mizuyaki, is actually, it's kind of heavy. They specialize in the sub 40 category. And he broke it off at the tip, or it was just dangling. And so I asked him about how far he hits it, and he says, well, about 280. We've all heard that one, right? About 280. But he's a young guy, outdoorsy. I said, okay. And he was looking at counterbalanced, and we started talking, and we ended up with the Acra TZ6 counterbalance, and it also happens to come in 50 grams. So it was weight for weight and balance for balance. It was pretty much an identical switch. However, the profiles will be way different. So if he was, having trouble with control, this one certainly will help him out. So we got that one. We got that one done. All righty. So we got that taken care of. And if you guys know that Henry hit the Northeast where they're playing right now, right? And the Northern Trust Open. I am going to go back a minute here. Let's see if I turn it off. And John Rahm was in the lead by 2 over Tony Finau and Cameron Champ. I think that's what it was. Or it's Cameron Smith, sorry, Cameron Smith. And right now, as it stands, John Rahm is minus 20 on 13. He's minus 4 on the round. That's pretty impressive. Tony Finau's jumped up to minus 19. He's minus 5 on his round, and he's just ahead of John Rahm. And Cameron Smith is at 18 under at 13, playing with John Rahm at minus 2. So good for them, right? I'm glad they're getting it in. They're playing in that clean replay. Was it clean in place? I think that's what they're calling it. So not bad. But the guy at the bottom that we always like to give a little love to is a tie. Right? It's a tie. Brian Harman and Gary Woodland are at a total of plus 2. And Gary Harman is on hole number 15 with a plus 1. And Gary Woodland is 1 away from completing with a plus 6. He and Jordan Spieth did not do very well. And Spieth is right in front of him at a plus 8. I can only imagine that those guys were playing in the junk. So we got that. Let's see. There's got to be the women's open. Let's see what the women's. Oh, Anna Nordquist. She ended up winning -12 over Georgia Hall and Lizette Salas. So very good. Congratulations to all of them. Glad to see everybody's out playing, and that they made them play in the rain or the wind or whatever, and that was it. Okay. One other thing. I don't have pictures of them, and that's bad on me. However, I'm doing a video on my shop and cleaning up my shop after 8 months of working in there and not doing anything. And we talk about what's in my shop on the dirty side. Well, as a result, I've cleaned up and I have got my original laser frequency machine is available, and one of my tools that I use to measure length is available. So if you guys are interested in something like that, give Robin or Mrs. McGolf an email, and we'll send you some pictures and stuff like that. Now, I will say I would really recommend that the laser machine, if you're interested, that you're close by, because I don't have all the packing to keep it solid. And it's not necessarily that it's delicate. I would just hate for it to get broke in transit. All righty, let's see at the top. Matt's the first guy to get on board. And got an open house today. Yep, Matt is a teacher, so yep. Shot 73, 74, and 71. Woo-wee. Man, that's pretty cool. I wish I could have got there. I shot a 84 from the blues. I have to be cognizant of that. And I had 7 3-putts. 7 3-putts. Yeah, I was plenty aggravated. Just could not. Second putt was in there between 3 and 4 footers, and I just couldn't put them in. Burning edges everywhere. It wasn't like a bad miss, just not going in. And it was funny. I had 2 or 3 1-putts, and they were from like 15 to 20 foot. Go figure. All righty. So, what part of the year is your favorite part to play? Mine is in the cold. Have a great week. Yeah, Matt's a pretty solid guy. He's pretty stout. And no, I don't do the cold very well. I have played in the cold as low as 34, and I was miserable for it. I got her done, and I couldn't get inside fast enough. And no, if I don't have to, no. Now, if I'm on a golf trip and the weather gets inclement, I'm in there. I'll play in the rain with anybody. In fact, we played in one. It was a pretty good storm where the water was rolling off of the green, and yeah, we putted in that. I played in that kind of stuff. I'm kind of a duck when it comes to that, but the cold, not so much. But I think I kind of like the spring or fall, and that's just because that's growing season for the grass, right? The spring, everything's growing up, and you get to see it's nice and soft, where the spring is just the other side's firming up a little bit, but it still looks good. Summer's fine, you're pretty reliable, but I like the other stuff. All right. Giraffe Man. Want to say thanks for the video, getting the broken shaft from the neck of the irons. Snap my... Oh, really? Don't like that. No, didn't have the specialist tools used to manage it. Improvise with a coach bolt. Oh, okay. No, that will work. Coach bolt's pretty good. I got you. And Danny liked the barbecue. I posted on Instagram. Yeah, I'm here to tell you, dude, it was good. I'm really surprised at myself. I'm giving thumbs up to the Rec Tech. That's I've converted to a pellet smoker. I've had regular wood in the log pieces or even chunks, not chips. And then I've had a propane one that does chips, and I put a pan of water in there. And it was good, but it never got crunchier. But it made a really good barbecue. And now this Rec Tech, dude, I'm all over this. And for anybody that does work with metal, it's all 304 stainless. So I'm not going to rust. I'm all with that. So very good. All right, Robin's talking to some folks. Steven's on. Very good. Mr. Adam, how are you, sir? Pumped for the session on Saturday. Very good. I'm going to assume that you've improved just as much as you had the last time. Mr. Riffett is he's pretty good at striker. Dave, what's going on? Fellow lefty from Michigan. There you go, bud. Is it as stinking hot up there as it is down here? It's like 95, close to 95. It went from nice even 70s. It was really hot, and then it went really cool. Now it's back into the 90s. It's crazy. It's just crazy. Jersey here. There you go. Travis K. Okay, everybody from Jersey. I have some very good friends from Jersey there in the Navy, and they used to give me all kinds of hell because I would ask them, what exit are you off of? And they are the ones that told me that. And so I don't know why they think it's my fault for asking them something that they told me. Anyway, steel fiber shafts. All right. Let's go back a little bit more. The guy's name was the owner, the originator of fiber steel or fiber steel staffs. Was his name is Chris, and he just sold his business to True Temper. I'd say, everything's 2 months, but I'm going to say about 6 months ago. And we got word last week that he had passed away. And that's a bad thing, obviously, when anybody passes away. But good guy, heck of a golfer. Thoughts on steel fiber? They are well used. I don't have a lot of experience with them. But mine is the first set I got was extraordinarily good, and they played. I thought they played very well for the guy. Now the second set I got, and not knowing because they had changed models, they added to the line, and so I got it, and they seemed to be playing weak, and I was like, okay, well that's maybe a profile. So I went up in flex to get to the next what I was looking for, and they played extraordinarily strong. So that's a QA thing, right? I think the idea of what they're doing and how it's built is really, really good. But if you're building on your own, you really need to take a hard look at it. If you have them in your clubs now and you can't figure out why just one club won't go, it's probably the shaft. Okay. Steve Bauer from Canada. How are you, sir? There's Steve. I have not. I got one of the original Encores from. We had a rep down here, and they gave me one, and I believe it was the Elixir. It was the very first model, and honestly, I didn't like it. It's a strange thing, but it felt heavy when you hit it. And I'm not sure how to describe it other than that. It just felt like I was hitting a golf ball that was heavier than average. Now, I know some folks out here that really enjoy it, but for me, I've only had the one. So maybe, of course, I could have had a bad one since it was in the very beginning of their run. However, based on that one, it was just felt heavy. There's Duke. No one hit a pole. Cool. No, they didn't. It was in well, this way to me is that way. To me is away from the highway. Okay, kind of give you a reference. So that way is to the highway, and this way is out to where the lines run, right? And it's in between two houses. And they spent the lion's share of their area or time over there. And so I'm not sure if something just blew, because it may have gotten hot or it got struck by lightning. Oh, heck, I don't know. But yeah, nobody hit a pole. That's a good thing. Scrunchy Chingo, scorching hot Joshua, Texas. I'm here to tell you, dude, today is a day. But I guess you get a choice between scorching hot or floods, and like there are in Tennessee. Anybody read that one? The floods got some crazy number of. They got more inches of rain than they did hours, and and it's flooding these towns like the 1,000-year flood for them. How would you like to? Well, you can tell the rest. You can tell the rest of your next 3-4 generations that you don't have to worry about it because they'll never see a flood. But and then the hurricane hitting up in the northeast. So I just hope everybody sails through it pretty good. You love the high toe. Isn't that cool? That thing is uh, it's an unsung hero, right? It's got a little bit of width in it, and it's not ground off. It's just a thud it down, pull it up, and let it go. It's a nice wedge. It really is, and kind of aggressive too, right? It's got an aggressive face on it. I think it works out pretty good. Now I'm waiting. I've already got my order on for the new one that came out from Callaway. It's kind of the combination Mac Daddy, Phil Mickelson. Oh, I don't know what they're called, all face high tower kind of thing. And we're going to do some testing with that. And I got a super hybrid coming. Everybody's talking about the super hybrid, and that's the initial release. A lot of people start testing here shortly, so I'm slowly but surely weaseling my way into the testing group. Charles, how are you, sir? Yeah, you did. You did a good job. Oh, by the way, Glenn Levitt, 12. So we're trying something new. It's not bad, not bad at all. I was watching. I found a YouTube channel. It was Scotch for Dummies. I've been watching it every once in a while. It's pretty good. Willard, hot and humid in Northeast, 83. Well, at least you got you shot an 83. I was going to say it's cooler. With a quad bogey, been playing good. First 9 holes, not great. Not as great on the backs. Well, hopefully, maybe was it, you got a knee worked on or was it a hip? I think it was a knee. Hopefully, you got enough strength in there. There's my buddy Kent from across the way. How are you, sir? Watching from work again nights, don't you just hate them? Kent, in my other life, I worked 12-hour shift work, and yeah, it rotated around, and so we had 4 days on, 7 days off, 4 nights on, 4 days off, or 4 days off, and then we went on a 7-day stretch of 3 days, 3 nights, a few days off, and then back into days, and did it for 20 years. And never thought, I got tired of, just by all the switching, but never really thought too much of it until I went to days, and I thought, holy smokes, what have I been missing? But yeah, if you don't prepare for them, buddy, your head gets on a swivel right around about 3 to 4 at night. So not bad. All right. All right, Duke again. What do we say here? Do you like or believe in the stability shafts for putters? Yeah, there's something about them. And again, I will say it time and time again. Everything that comes out is the answer to will it work for this, that, and other thing. Particularly when we're talking across the internet, it will always be it depends. All right. There are some people that don't like a lot of weight in their putter, and the stability shaft, all these shafts that are they're really thick on the end, and then they taper themselves down. And what's that doing is that's basically, it would be my opinion, it's basically back weighting, right? You put a lot of back weight, and we've done that since 99. Shove a little weight in the back end and put a little weight underneath the hands, and it just smooths everything out. This is doing a lot of the same. And with that added weight, it tends to smooth out the stroke. It does a lot of good things, right? It really does a lot of good things. Now, the cool part, as I understand, and I still have yet to see a raw stability shaft, but I think they adjust, and where you can get do length without doing some severe cutting. Okay. KBS has got something like that. UST used to have something like that. I don't know if they still do. And very much, Stroke Lab is very much in that neck of the woods, but not like that. They actually put a weight. But yeah, I think they're, it's very, very solid, very exactly what they say. It's very, very stable. So if you're a guy that's like this, that very well may help. Now, if you're a guy that's already like that, you may not see any difference. See what I mean? But yeah, Dave, watch Excalibur Iron Sandwich. Are the Excal woods any good? You guys are asking me some loaded questions today. I would say yes. Yeah, they are. We carried him for a long, long time. And the reason why we carried him, he and another company were the only people that had what I call family of shafts. And what does that mean? Well, it means you got a driver shaft, you got a fairway wood shaft, which that's kind of tough to come by, right? Then you got a hybrid shaft, and then you have iron models, but driver, fairway, hybrid. And they, in order for them to act, they're in that same family. I thought that was cool, and I still to this day think it's cool. I think it's very cool. All these things right back here. Hold on a minute. Right back here, all those. That's the reason why they're on the wall, right? Because they're part of a family of shafts, and that's the reason why I think it makes sense. And Excalibur was the other one. Robin Arthur uh, was the other guy to come up with that idea, and he has since changed. I used to have it down like Flint. He had model 4s, 5s, 6, and 7s. All right, 4s were the ultralight shafts, but they're very stout. If you think of an old Pro, he was the original designer of the not the Pro Force, but the Pro. It was the maroon shaft with the gold lettering on it. Everybody loved them. Anyway, it was a lightweight version in the same profile. The thing was extraordinarily stout. Came in white and red logoing. The next one was a Model 5, and it had a very soft butt and a tip stiff. And it came in lighter weights also, and it was really, really good for folks that had to deal with slicing. Then the sixes we'll call them the flagship. Their standard model came in various weights and flexes, and it just worked pretty good. And that was the Pro. Daggone it! I'll think it'll hit me here in a little bit. Anyway, it was one of that, and then the 7 was the Brute. It was the one that was it was an iron rod on graphite, and people would hit that. So if you're really fast in your tempo, you would probably like that. Now he's changed them to Mystics and all these other things in order to play off of the Excalibur name, but they're effectively the same. And now they have the new ion coating on them in different colors, silvers and purples and golds and things like that. So are they good? Yes, but they, like anything else, they have to fit. All right, they have to fit. And the other part is that I'm going to show you is for almost a week now. And the reason why we didn't put out a video, it's twofold. I really wanted to rant on this one a little bit, but is putting out a video, you have to edit it. And I have a while back, I upgraded to Adobe Premiere Pro, and that is amongst many is the Cadillac of editing, right? I buy one, don't get any others philosophy. And there are other ones out there to be sure, and they come very, very close, but I was already in Adobe Elements and I thought it was time to upgrade. Well, the progression, and you guys see it in every other application, the programming gets more and more intense, and sometimes that program overrides the capability of the computer. Well, it happened to me way back, and I got another computer. And now it's almost as if it hit that mark again, and I didn't see it coming. So what happens is you'll get, and I'm like 30, this is a big video. This was a long one. It was, I was 35 to 40 minutes in it, and each time I got to that point, the whole program would crash and it wouldn't save a thing. And I spent, in order to do 40 minutes, it probably takes you 80 minutes to get where you need to go. So I'm at 4 times, right? I was sitting in that chair and I was beyond mad. And so I went to a forum and I just, threw my crybaby tears on that. And they told me that the biggest thing is to up my RAM and try a few other tricks, of which I'm going to do. And we ordered the RAM today. And if any of you guys are computer guys, RAM is expensive. Holy smokes. Anyway, there's my rant here on this one, so I can put it out there. However, here's what I'm looking at. Let's see if I can make it work. This is the guy. I'm testing this thing. All right, the XC6, the extra carry, tour AD, accuracy and distance. Testing. I took it out for a run, and it works. It works. I was playing from the blues, like I said, and I was probably laying in the same spot when I normally play from the whites. That's saying something. Now, could have been I had a good driver day. I'm going to give it one more round. But when I tested it in here, the thing that stood out for me was normally when you hit balls, every once in a while, you're going to hit a flyer, right? You're going to hit one that just spins like crazy, or you're going to hit a knuckleball. I didn't do that. I didn't do that with this one. And I was like, well, that's different. Why not? And so I got a hold of the guys at Graphite Design. Alvin is my rep, and Alvin and I go way back. He's a good guy. But he introduced me to Bill McPherson, and he is the vice president of marketing sales and extraordinarily knowledgeable. Been with the company 20 plus years. And we got to talking, and I asked him some fairly technical terms, and he actually provided a PowerPoint presentation. So these guys are serious. And so this is all loaded in there. But needless to say, when you see the Tour AD and you see the new HDs and these XCs and the VRs and all that stuff, needless to say that they're not junk, right? They use upper end graphites, and we talk about tensile strengths and modulus and stuff like that. I do in the video. So we get to see the video, and you got questions, ask them back in this one. That was a whole lot for asking about Excalibur, wasn't it? Robin said we probably run a little bit long. We very well may today. Yep. Oh, you know what? I could do that. I could be in video land. I don't know what that is, but I'm there. That was the reason why I got him. Joe invited me up, and Joe Broderick, who's normally on here, he invited me up to Westchester, and we played, and I went and bought a divot tool and saw it, and I thought, oh, there's no way. We're going to have it. And to the point, we placed an order. We've got to place another order for him. I got about, I think I got 4 of these, and I got a couple of red ones. The rest of them are gone. All righty. MPB 13. You play for Huntington. Well, way to go, dude. Huntington as in Huntington up north, or Huntington as in Huntington, West Virginia? Because we do have a Huntington up here. Either way, man, very cool. And welcome. Oh, there's apparently Adam was on Facebook. Very cool. There's Steve Bauer. Okay. Watched your video on Golf Mechanics Gripping Station. I was wondering if you are still using it and if you would recommend it still. Yes and yes. Right? Yes and yes. I ought to have Mrs. McGolf talk to you about it, because we put it out, and what I did is I went and bought a 4x4 sheet of plywood and spray painted it so it didn't look, naked. And I put it on top of there to kind of protect the carpet. And Mrs. McGolf is wearing that thing out, right? Out. And I would venture a guess that I would bet money she probably puts on more golf grips than I would say at least half of the club makers in this state. And she does it on that thing. And the only thing I have to do, and I think the only thing I have to do extra is down at the bottom where it mounts, where the thing mounts like this, is I have to tighten it up every once in a while. And the only reason why I have to do that is because I haven't fully mounted it on this board. If I do that, I think that goes away. Or I could use some of the blue goo and just have them stay right in there. Outside of that, things working like a champ. She doesn't, and believe you me, if she didn't like something, she'd let me know about it. I'm waiting for her to come around the corner. Anyway, but yeah, I think it's right there. The only one I think that really comes close, Steve, is there's a GolfWorks one that's out of black with the vise that's right in the middle that's into the front, and then you pull it back. But bang for buck, everything that you get, and the adjustability, I think that's fine. I think it works good, as a matter of fact. Mondaire did a good job in that design. Ronald Greer, love the divot tool. And high praise. Well, hey, thank you. Thank you. All right. Oh, look, and there it is. All that accent. Look at that. Like I had to say anything. Seb. All right. Seb Wokes with a 48 6-inch raw shaft. If you cut it to driver length, then say it would be 60 grams. If you are cutting more off for a 3-wood, then how can the weight be more than 60 grams? Wouldn't it be more like 50? Okay, Seb. Well, we've had, that's a good question. And it's not only with driver shafts, but it's also with iron shafts, right? If we say we have a 110-gram shaft and it comes in raw at 110 and you cut it, it's not 110 anymore, is it? No. And that's the difference. So in this particular case, Seb, I would bet money. Well, I won't bet money, but I would venture a guess that the shaft itself was probably more than 60, and like 62, 63 grams. Not a tremendous amount. So that when you do trim it off, you do have your 60. And if you don't, and if it comes in right at 60, like it says, then it is what that is. And that, now, it's not to say that that's bad. It's to say that was the plan, right? They knew that was going to happen, and they knew that they were going to get that. And their profile is such that you should get the swing weight of the performance even after trimming. Now, if you're going to, and you trim off more for a 3-wood, for certain, right? It's going to take off a little bit more. Will it be 10? I don't think so, because you can trim off. Graphite is really, really light, and you can trim off about that much, and it might be a gram, right? It might be 2 grams, but 10's a little bit much. That's a big stretch. So, but yes, it would be lighter. That's the point that you're trying to make, I know. And but that's where that's at. Mrs. McGolf, use it more than you. Yes, she does. All right. I'm confused. I'm confused at how fairwood shafts would be heavier. That's if they're designed for that, Seb. There's very few makers of fairway wood shafts. As a whole, the original thing was that in the day, we'll call it in the day, we're going back in time with me being an older guy. What they used to do is they would say, okay, 60-gram shaft. All righty, that's in the driver. They go, yep. So they go, okay, give me the 70-gram version of this, and we'll trim it down, and we'll put it in the fairway. That's how you got heavier. Now, did that work? Relatively not. No. What some folks would do is they would go 70 in the flex below this, or they would just go with the same weight and trim a little bit more. And you wouldn't necessarily trim an extra off the 70-gram either, because the dynamics change, right? You go from a head like this to a head like that's smaller, so the same profile doesn't normally work. And that's the reason why I was really keen on fairway wood shafts, because fairway wood shafts are designed to take up that extra weight in that thing down there, that the smaller diameter, the smaller size, the smaller cc's, whatever we want to go with. And we would go with that. Now, with the trend here, a lot of the trend is steel shafts at 125 are not necessarily the norm anymore. 105 to 110 is now the norm, and they're getting lighter, right? Where a stronger golfer, a really stronger golfer, would probably be in 70 and sometimes 80 in this thing. Now you're seeing 60 and 70 being the heavy and moving up as we go. And now what I'm seeing here and trending in a lot, you'll see in a lot of the OEMs, is that same weight as the driver. I'm not a fairway wood hitter, and I haven't had an opportunity nor a need to actually look into that, but that's what's been happening. So and that's where it's at. So that's how they get heavier, Seb. All righty, here we go. Whoop, went too far again. Daggone it. Here we go. Kent, what's up? One of my mates has an Acura in his Ping head. She just had built at Tour X here in the UK. Tour X, that's like TXG in the UK, isn't it? She is absolutely bombing it straight. Excellent fit for her. Good. Did it say what kind of Acura it was? Acura's a good shaft. You know, I'm a big fan, right? And you know, right here, although it's backwards, I love the paint job on this, by the way. This was a Ryder Cup shaft, and they do a good job. And they have, you know, they didn't go just total top end. They've got the I series, which is what we would call what everybody uses, and that has a lot to do with price point. And then they got the FX line, which I just think is the best. And then they have the Tour Zs, which are for the strikers like you that can really move a shaft like that. And they get it, and it works, right? And they work. So it's a made in Japan shaft that goes to Canada and gets shipped out all over the world. I think that's pretty cool. So that's pretty nice. All righty. Dennis Hood, have you tried Vice Pro golf balls? They work great for me. Dennis, I've had 2, maybe 3 Vice golf balls. I'll be playing with a guy, and he'll throw them at me, and we'll trade off golf balls or whatever. And they do. They play okay. I'll give them a I just pay attention. And when I hit a ball, it's all about, and I hate sounding like I know what I'm doing when I'm talking about striking a golf ball, but I like it's about how it feels first and foremost for me, how they come off the iron. And because most of my game is all about irons. So if it comes off the iron pretty good, I'm pretty much going to like it. And there's one more group out there that's direct to consumer, and they have the MBs, and that one worked really well too. This Vice Pro, or the Vice, I don't know if it was a Pro or not, but it worked pretty good too. I can't say anything bad about it. I mean, if it's round, it's got dimples, and it flies far and fast for us, who's going to argue, right? All righty, Seb Wokes, what we got here, buddy? What would happen to a Callaway Epic driver, which is lighter than a 425 if you used a counterbalance shaft? Would it play the same as the G425? Well, Seb, I don't know for a fact that the Epic driver is actually lighter. So what we have when you so we get confused in a lot of cases. I knew I was going to need all these. Robin was like, "What are you getting all that for?" Us show and tell. All right. So when we talk about the head, we have to include the adapter. Okay. We have to include this adapter as part of the weight of this head. Why is that? It's because they cut off the doggone head right here, and all this is sitting in here for that adjustability. And that adapter is a good, I don't know, it's a good 30, almost 40 grams. Maybe, I don't know about that. Maybe a little bit less. Anyway, the heads without them run anywhere from 185, 195, depending on the club. Now, another thing that impacts the weight is this guy right here. Whoops. That guy. All right, is that guy. That's an 18 grammer right there. Some of them came in 10s and 12s, so we got to know all the specs. Now, the Ping in the 425, I just had one in here, had a weight in the back. It was kind of a cool little weight, but you had to undo it, push it over, put it in. Okay, and you put it in there. And I didn't notice it being any heavier or lighter, so they would be very, very close. But let's just say that it is. All right, a counterbalance shaft. All right. Man, this is good stuff today. Seb, you guys are doing good. All right, counterbalance. What does that mean? That means it would give you the idea that if you were on your shaft, that they would add all this weight here so that it would do like that. Maybe a little bit. What they've done is, if I can get way back here, they've moved the balance point back this way. All right. And how do they do that? Well, they add a little bit of weight, right? Or they move the weight because it's not going to be any more than 50 or 60 grams. They've got to move it around so that it wants to balance more towards the butt of the shaft. So as a whole, if it was counterbalanced, it would want to, and they're cut to the same length, everything, the counterbalance would play lighter. All right. It would swing weight lighter. You would have more weight in your hands and less out onto the head. If you're a smooth swinger, you will absolutely love it. If you're an aggressive guy, probably not so much. In fact, to the point you probably want to add more weight to the back so it's more in your hands. But that's a different story. But and would it play as the same? Would it play as the same? Only if you made it super duper longer, and then it wouldn't play because you'd be too far away. Hopefully that helps, Seb. All right. As soon as your putter gets hot and irons go cold. Yeah, I know, right? That's happened. A couple of rounds ago, I was on fire. I only had 1 3-putt and a couple of 1-putts, and I didn't shoot much better. I still shot an 80, and because I couldn't chip or couldn't get off the tee, something silly. Yeah, you got to play more than once a week and hit a few golf balls inside to break that barrier. There's Joe. He won't play in the cold, but will hang over the side of a sub. Like, oh, yeah. Yeah. So what Joe's talking about is we were swapping war stories, basically, of him working on a plane and me working on a sub. And there was a time, me and a handful of buddies, we had to do a job hooking up a boat, and it was the middle of winter, and we were like this far off of the water, and it's blowing, and it's winter in Virginia, and not a lot of snow, but it'll get icy on you in a hurry. And we got this thing hooked up in the winter, and we got her done. And Joe, that's probably the reason why I don't play in the cold, to be honest with you. Look at this. What do you say, cuz? What is going on? Thank you for joining us. Yeah, well, you just got back from the Carolinas, though, right? Way to go, kid. Thanks for coming on. That's my cousin. The only one that's older than me. And probably the nicest soul you'll ever meet. All righty. Tried the corn is a little too much for me. What she's saying, Joe, is I got her on the corn flavor, and yeah, no. No. Stinking hot. Yeah, same here in South Carolina, testing the Sim Max 2 with a Venice shaft, and I like it. Well, good, bud. The Venice shaft, I really like I like that Venice. I think it's okay. It's the black, they got a black and a blue and a silver. Good stuff. I think they're doing pretty good over there in Fuji land. Talk more about those Excalibur shafts. Do you like them as a high launch option? Scrunchy, they do have a high launch option. Not all of them are, right? Like I said, the 4 is a lighter one. So if it was weight that was holding you back, you could jump on one of these. I've put these light ones in guys that were just super fast tempos, totally against the way it was supposed to be fit, and these guys scorched it. The other one, the 5, could virtually be a high launcher shaft, and it comes in a 50 and I believe a 60. That was back in the day. And then the 6 and the 7 are the standard. I wouldn't necessarily call them high launchers. So it depends on what it is you're looking for. I figured down in Texas you didn't want a high launch. You keep that thing down and keep it out of the wind. If that was the case, the 6 would be a really good option. Yeah, Joe, you know that bottle he gave her, I put that much of a bottle in an entire Yeti. All right, a Yeti filled with some raspberry something or another. No. I know what you mean about a heavy ball of ice. Feels the same way to me. So yeah, there they go. I don't. Sometimes they hit it good, and sometimes they don't. All right, golf nut. Hornsea, UK again, guys. Over in the UK, thanks for because I know you're up late, but again, thank you. My views on the Aldila NV 55 350 driver shaft 95 smooth tempo. All right, so the Aldila's gone through 2 generations of this. The first one's the original, and then they got the new one. And the 55 is a lighter weight. Uh, Obviously, it's a lighter weight. It's 55, but um, it's always been my opinion that was made for a guy that was a little bit more aggressive. The NV was made. Now they have an NVS. That one would be more for a smoother swinger, and that's what it was. And the S would be in that 95 to 100 as well. Now keep in mind that 350 means the tip section. So if you've got a standard driver head, that's going to be big. It's going to be too big. So you're going to have to do something about that. All righty, hot and muggy. Yeah. All right, here we go. Dave's got some steel fibers, some stiffs. The 780. So that's around 780 doesn't necessarily mean 80 gram or 78 grams, but the F4 is stiff. And it's in his TaylorMade fairway wood. Great combo. Yeah, compared to the Reacts, Dave, the Reacts weren't very good. I had a whole barrel of those at one time. They just weren't very good. But the heads were. And once we changed them into a shaft, boom, man, they loved them. And yeah, I forgot all about them having them in fairways. What we got here? California. Eric Maciel? I'm sorry. All right. Do you fit or believe in the True Length technology system? I do not fit to the True TLT. Do I think it's a thing? Yeah, I do. That guy started off in the PCS like I did, the Professional Clubmakers Society, and unfortunately went down. And it's a very, very interesting concept that I don't have all the ifs, ands, or buts, but what it does is, and I always thought about doing this from a fitting, and the one guy that's truly doing it, not using the TLT, but actually doing what I'm going to tell you, is the guy in Scotland, and Scott, yeah, it is Scott, in Scotland. He fits a 4-iron, and he'll fit a 7-iron, and he fits a pitching wedge. All right, and each one of them, and it'll be different shafts and heads, and the builds will just be crazy. Well, anyway, the TLT says based on your height and the way that you stand, that it's just not a half-inch increment all the way down to the top of the bottom. That the line can skew, and so you might have 3/8 inch build differences, or you might have even more, right? Different lengths, and it tries to put a line down there. Although I've never really tested it, I have to think that there is something to it. I guess that's the best way to explain it, Eric. But yeah, I do think there's something to it. I believe he's got charts for just this big stack of charts for the different, heights and bends and how you stand and all that kind of stuff. I would think that if we follow the guy in Scotland's idea and you break out some 4-irons, even though you may not hit them, and then break out a 7-iron and then break out a pitching wedge, you can draw a line and figure out if you only wanted to go to the 5, what that number would be. Very, very precise fitting. Might take a while, but it's a precise fitting. All right. Look at that. Well, maybe I can get Bob and we can, I don't know. If Bob did, we're getting close to time to go into Myrtle Beach. I was thinking about maybe we go up to Westchester again. Anyway, yeah, Larry be happy. Anyway, for those of you, we'll say it again next week, but the first week of September, me, Mrs. McGolf, Bob, and his wife, Penny, are all going to Myrtle Beach. And we have got golf planned. Woohoo! We got golf planned. So if you're down there in Myrtle Beach and you happen to see us, stop by, say hi, whatever. Give us a talk, whatever you want to do. All righty. Hello, is there Shimran? All right, Shimran, is there a difference in profile? How different in profile the Dollar Taper 120 and the Modus 120Ss? There is a bit of a change. The Modus will feel softer. Yes. The Ms. McGolf asked, will I be doing live stream? And I think we're going to try it. We're going to try the, like we did at the St. Augustine, and we'll do it and just hit it off the iPad. We'll see whether or not it works out pretty good or not. It should. It did good there, I thought. So we'll see. Maybe get some Myrtle Beach in the background. Anyway, Dollar Tabler and Modus. So that's a good question. And the Modus, I think, is a little bit more butt softer, where the taper is probably a little bit more tip stiffer. That makes a sense. They're both very, very smooth. For that, I've hit the Dollar Taper and they're pretty good. I think if you were to put them side by side, that the Dollar Taper would come out feeling a little bit harder, and that's because of the stiffer butt section. All right, but they still both are good performers. Nick Massa, what's going on, Nick? What would be your suggestions for turning ferrules by hand? I use 120 sandpaper, but see lines in the ferrules. All right, a ferrule question. I haven't had one of those in a while. Okay, Nick, let's talk ferrules. Number one, you're basically holding them in a vise like this, and there's our ferrule. So number one, what you want to do is you put tape around this side and you put tape around the head, and that way you know when you're getting close, right? When the tape starts scarring, he's like, whoop, time to stop. And you got to shape it. The 120 or the 220 is really good. I would try and find something even finer, okay? I used, we called it machine sandpaper. Hey, it was about yay wide. Man, this is way back stuff. But anyway, even if you're using 220 and you're going like a shoe shining, right? It's like going like this. So the next thing to do to take out the lines is cut you up some paper towels into 2-inch squares. So basically you fold over a paper towel, cut it, fold over a paper towel, cut it, and cut that in half, and you're in squares that are about like that. Okay. And then get you some acetone. And fingernail polish might get it, but I think in this case you're going to want to use acetone. Get that paper towel wet, right? Get that paper towel wet, and when you and fold it over, and then because you've gone this way, what you want to do is go this way, and while you're doing that, you want to turn the ferrule. See how it turn it? You want to turn it like this, and you'll see it smooth out and get really, really shiny. And that's how I would go with that. All right, what we got here? Whoop, 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 whoop. I went down again, doggone it. Mr. David Rogers, maybe we need to start a petition to get Robin voted Employee of the Month. Some tells me she already is the Employee of the Month, so we should be good to go there. All right. Oh, look, here we go. I like that, but can I be an employee and the boss? Oh, good questions. She comes off as they asked who's the boss, and she says, well, I am, or I want to talk to the boss. So you say, well, you're talking to her. So there you go. Woohoo. Nick Flores, how you doing, buddy? How do you like the Mitsubishi shafts? I think they're a very good shaft. Again, like everything else, it depends on which one you're talking about because they have very many of them. They have very many of them. They have many of them. Uh, I was one of the original dealers in the U.S. for them when they had only the blue board to speak of, and now they've got many, and I haven't dealt with them in quite some time. However, the process is very very good. They were one of the only what I called umbrella companies, where it was them and Aldila, and it just so happens Mitsubishi now owns Aldila, and they were a company that would virtually dig the graphite out of the ground, turn it into graphite. The graphite company would give them the graphite, and then they would turn them into golf shafts. So a whole family or a tree of these people that were doing that. So yeah, and they make good ones. They had kind of they're kind of stalled there after a bit. The blue boards were nice, the Bassaras were nice, and then they kind of ran into a flat spot. And now they've come out with this MMT, and the MMT has a place. It's not going to be one of those everybody rushes to go get, but it does fit a larger percentage of folks, and it is very, very nice. Okay, here we go. Can you talk about swing weight? My old clubs are D5 and they seem to push the ball most of the time. Should I drop them down in swing weight? That could be part of it, Nick. It could be that they're very, very stiff because you're just not getting the club to close. It could be that the club is long. It could be the club is flat. So there's all these different things. But if you pick them up and you go, wow, these things feel heavy, yeah, chances are that they could be that. But how do you drop the swing weight? That's a tricky situation. I know the idea is like, oh, we'll just put some weight in the back and the swing weight comes down. True, but now you're adding total weight, and that can also be a cause to do the very same thing. So you gotta be a little bit more, uh, you know, cautious when you do things like that. Now you could also grind the heads and grind off about I don't know what, 4 grams. Yeah, that's a lot of grinding. So you got to be really, really careful when we take that when you take that out of there. But one of the easiest ways to do it, if you had any lead tape, is when you do a grip, take the grip off and run a line down the bottom and run a line down there, and then put the tape on it and the grip on it. Kind of makes it a ribbed grip, and but it puts weight right under your hands. That might work. There's Robin talking to the cuz. All righty, 17 inches of rain just west of Nashville. I know, man. Dennis, that's just crazy. It's just like, it's just like the cloud just stopped right there and just opened up a big can of that stuff. So, yeah, you got to feel for them because these guys they're wading in chest high rain right now because all that stuff, they're living in a valley. So every bit of it's heading towards them that they get. Let's hope it goes away as fast as it shows up. Here's one. Hi, right back, bud. Sea Bear ABC. Okay. There's Tim again. What do you say, Tim? Willard says a need. Told to start yoga with her. As long as it's not that stuff where they do it in like 100-degree temperature. Nope, nope, nope. Yes, and that we did that in the 70s. Now, that's not only in the 70s, Willard. In some club fitting conventions, conferences, we get little get-togethers and whatnot. I've had guys talking to me that were in their late 80s, early 90s that were still golfing, and they about gave it up because they just couldn't get the movement, and they started yoga, and all of a sudden they're golfing again. So there is something to it. Come up day when I'm off, and we'll play with you guys. That would be kind of fun, I think. We'll see what we can do. Came raw 44-inch. We're 72 grams, so trimmed it down. There you go. All right. Are you going to be playing down in Myrtle Beach next week? The reason I asked, the World Amateur event is next week. Yeah, I know. I really want to try that once. I really, really do. No, we won't be down there for that. We're going to be after all that's down there. We're the next week. Yeah, I've been down there when we were part of the PCS. We had a booth down there in that big showroom that they had down there, and we would do grips and reshafts and loft and lie changes, all kinds of stuff for all the golfers. Gave them a bit of a tour van experience, and it was funny because we were down there. Me and I think there was about 6 of us down there, and this gentleman next to me, first time using lanolin because they wouldn't let us use grip solvent. It was lanolin, and it was an oil base, so it didn't dry off as fast. And he was filling this thing and treating it like it was regular stuff. And I said, "Oh, fellas, man, we got to stop that," because they went, "Oh, he'll be fine. He'll be fine." I was like, "No, no, he won't." So I got a hold of the guy that we put the grips on there. I said, "Look, here's what's going on. It's going to be a little slimy. If you've got anywhere hot you can put these things, or anywhere near a heater you can put these things, you will be better off for tomorrow. So just remember that." And he did, and I guess he came back and thanked me later. The other one is that nobody would touch the loft and lie machine. They didn't want to break an iron in front of, what is it, 20,000 people. And this one guy from New York, he's like, "Yo, I need my irons bent." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, let's do that." And we were bending it. We were bantering back and forth. It was a great time. And I looked up when I got to about the 4th club. I looked up, and there was people about 4 and 5 deep watching me bend irons. I was like, "What? Is it that entertaining, guys?" They said, "Oh, it's funny listening to you guys talk." I was like, "Oh, okay." So not only was it entertaining, but we got the irons bent. So it was fun. I said, if you win the blue marble, I want half. Yeah, that didn't go over very well. How will you find Myrtle? How will we find you in Myrtle Beach? Well, that's a different one. I think what we'll do is I'll have to look it up, but we got a schedule of where we're going to be, playing, and I'll throw it out there on next Monday. Let's see. Up a little too far again. Doggone. Sherman, no, not a problem, buddy. Anytime. Here we go. Wooden of the Angels. Wooden of the Angels. Angles. Angels. Okay. That is one serious icon you got there, bud. That is great. Good evening, sir, from England. Again, thank you for staying up so late. I've been experimenting with choking down 2 inches, and I play so much better. I want to make a set. What effects on stiffness, swing weight, and the shaft profile? Thanks. All right, if you are starting from 0 and you're putting them all together, when you find the flex was the flex. All right, the flex of the flex. However, 2 inches shorter than what you're used to, depending on what this length is, means they're going to play very, very light. Okay, they're going to be playing very, very light. Now, the thing is, keep this in mind. You go, "Oh, I want to make them like they are now." But if you're choking down on this club that's 2 inches, say it's a D2, you're choking down. It would be the same thing if you made it without putting that stuff in. Okay. Now, in reality, what you're feeling is that you're choking up like this, right? And there's an extra weight back here, not necessarily out here, right? And so again, as we were talking honestly, what I would I would at least try it on one club, is throw just a little bit of lead right underneath that and put it on your hands, even at that shorter length. And honestly, if you're choking down 2 solid inches in order to get to that, you might want to consider single length clubs. All right, try single length clubs, and that way you very well may just enjoy this living crud out of it. Nick, anytime, bud. Nick, anytime. There we go. Here we go. We're almost towards the end. Is it worth cutting down clubs 5/8 of an inch? If it fits, yeah. It's like cutting down a half of an inch. 5/8 isn't going to make that much of a difference if it works for you. If it works. Got new heads and shafts on my old clubs around D5, so when building new clubs, wasn't sure should keep them around D5 or drop them down. Drop them down a little bit and see what happens. Alrighty, a couple more and then we are done, guys. What's your take on hybrid versus driving iron versus fairway wood, all at 18 loft, basically the gap between your longest 3 wood? How do you fit to that? All right, Simran, how I go about it is when I do this, when I do the fittings, I take into account if they're an iron fitter or an iron hitter or a driver hitter, right? If they're a driver hitter, then we normally kind of fall towards the fairway wood. If they're iron hitters, then we normally go towards the hybrid. And then when we get to the hybrid, some people can't look at the way that a hybrid is shaped, right? They just can't look at a way a hybrid is shaped. And if that is true, then we go to the driving iron. That's basically that's how we take that. And to kind of burst a lot of bubbles out there, very rare is that there's somebody out there that hits a hybrid and a fairway equally well, right? And I test after test after test after test, I will hand folks a 4 hybrid at 21, 23, and they will almost 9 times out of 10 wallop the 3 wood that they hit that's sitting at 14 or 15 easily by 10 yards. So you got to keep that in mind. Now, if they're wood hitters, it's just the other way around. You're never going to do that. And typically that goes from being a flat swinger in the woods to an upright swinger in the irons. So hope that helps. Mr. Russell, where have you been, buddy? Aloha. So, thoughts on effects on short 34-inch putter, 32 swing weight on a putter. I'm thinking about switching to Evan Roll gravity grip with a Cobra Supernova. It will make it light, but when you put the gravity grip in there, it's always going to be light. So it's not. I wouldn't sweat it. I just cut her down and put the gravity grip on and have at it. I wish I could be way more technical and tell you all the different swing parameters and things like that. But when it comes to putting, if you find yourself over the ball and you're in a more comfortable stance, it's not going to adding weight just to make sure that it was the same before. Chances are you probably needed to remove it anyway. That's why. Think he was going to use back weights like Mr. Nicholas does, was worried about the stiffness would increase. Well, Mr. Nicholas, I met his club maker, and yes, he used to put the wooden plug and weight in there, and the dude used to be a absolute driver of the golf ball. He hit the crud out of it. Nobody really gives him credit for being a bomber, but he was. He was just an absolute bomber. Okay, guys, look at this. All the way down to the bottom. Shamran, you are welcome again, buddy, anytime. 6:43. Robin hasn't come in here to give me the signal because we wanted to run a little bit long. Kind of apologize.
15 minutes past.
I know. We almost made it, right? And guys, thank you for watching from around the world. I appreciate it. The UK, right? I just think it's great. The guys all around here, I think it's great. I'm glad that you guys are taking the time to watch and ask questions because it helps me out. I just can't believe that we're all here talking like this. Again, if you haven't before, please do like and subscribe when it comes back around. And guys, and let me set up for it because you always know it's got to happen. Again, thanks a lot, and we'll talk more about our trip on the next one. And as always, and watch for the video. Hopefully I get it set up. Let's see your scores. Go low.